How does it feel to have it all encapsulated into a film of this?
It's very difficult in places, but overall, I think it was a great thing to see from beginning to end. And when we began it, I didn't really grasp where it was going to be focused. I thought it would be just one area, and then when I realized that we had to cover everything, I thought, well, I don't know how they're going to do this in less than 6 hours, you know, but to see it all, it's pretty overwhelming. A lot of it I don't even remember, but the last section is my favorite part, because I look like I've got a smile on my face for the first time in my life.
The documentary was actually something he asked me about. I knew he had an interesting life, but I didn't want to make assumptions the way, you know, some people do on these things and then you back into. I wanted to have it be a journey where I discovered things about Eric that I didn't know. But I don't think that if Eric hadn't asked me, I would have never asked him.
The idea had been floating around for a little while with a group of friends, and it wasn't really coming to fruition. I actually tried to assemble it. I got in touch with the people that are credited in the movie, a couple of friends, and with a lot of material. I had a lot of, and there's a few people that have got, for one reason or another, archives of material of their own. And I knew that there was enough there to make a movie with, but what I didn't want was for there to be a film come out after I died that I didn't think was any good. I mean, as if I would know, you know, but but the point was, I thought it'd be nice to try to I didn't really want to see it, I mean, in a way, with the greatest respect, I didn't want to, but I wanted to know that it would be okay, at least okay. And so 2 years ago, we were thinking about it yesterday, but 2 years ago, I asked her if she would save my bacon, was the exact, as the words I used, and she said yes, without any hesitation. So
I was somewhat concerned that there may be an impression, because we've been friends for so long, that I would whitewash something, or Eric would say, take it out, and none of that happened, because of the trust that we have, and of the fact that he gave me this responsibility and didn't second guess me. The thing that he did do is that he came up with the idea of Gustavo Santaella, which the score is such an incredible blend, because we didn't want it to be all just Eric's music, because it doesn't work that way. And you can't all of a sudden introduce something orchestral, because it wouldn't blend with Eric's stuff.
I haven't had a drink for a long time now, but for the first 10 years of that period, a lot of my thinking and behavior didn't really change. It was a slow evolvement, really, and it was only then, and after I'd had my children, my daughter and my son, I began to realize, and it's actually clear in the film, and I can see it in a form of desperation, that here I am suddenly faced with responsibility, and that I had to do something about it. So my legacy has always been that, really. There's always been a commitment to music as a legacy too, because I always thought it was important to credit the people where it came from. I've seen myself as a messenger, really, all the time. Always, it's been a principle for me. Yeah, I hope that as many people get to see it as can, you know, that it gets to be internationally shown and accepted. Only a few people, but the main point goes back to what I was being asked, is what is the legacy of this film? And it really is that we carry a message. I mean, the underlying thing for me was that to show that from all of that mess, that I could still come to be a reasonably well-behaved human being with a sense of responsibility. So all of that stuff that went before has brought me to that.
Guitar sales are down significantly.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that bad. I really didn't. I'm out of touch. I mean, I don't know what's going on. I don't know where it's going to go either. I think anything that has a natural process will end up where it's supposed to be. My kids listen to classic rock. But that may only be because that's what I've played to them from the time they were, their conception. They've been listening to music through the womb. I've played them playlists, just brainwashed my kids. And at the back of it is always the guitar or some kind of solo instrument. My belief in music, it's all good. I don't think there's any. Even stuff that doesn't appear to be so, it's all good. Yeah.
Is retirement still something that you occasionally think about?
Yeah, I've quit. I've got 4 more shows and then it's over. And I've been saying that since I was 17. Well, there's a bit in the film where I talk about going to see this friend of mine, Ben Palmer, and he had to kind of talk me back into the idea of carrying on. And that was when I was 17. One of the things I've realized in the last year or so is even if I stopped playing altogether, I could live on just listening to music is enough for me. And it still is. And I find that when I'm working, the only tricky thing about working for me and playing on stage or in the studio or whatever, I don't listen to music anymore. So I don't know what that's about, but it's sort of disturbing for me that I cast all this other stuff aside, stuff that I really need to be absorbing, which connects with what the lady was talking about, understanding what the music scene is doing, and just concentrate on my own thing. So I miss the boat a lot of the time. I catch up all the time. And I kind of think, well, am I in it? Am I behind it? Does it matter? Does it really matter if I carry on playing or not? But the thing is, I love to listen to music and I love to play music, be it on stage, be it anywhere. It's just a question of where's the venue, really?
Was there anything you looked at in the documentary, maybe even something you'd forgotten, and you thought when you were a young guy, oh, how could I have said that? Or why did I do that?
Are you kidding? The whole thing. I thought, well, the first whole, right up to the time I stopped drinking, everything I said is absolute blather. There's a certain amount of pompousness that I see when I'm being interviewed, and this sort of, I don't know, some kind of weird expression on my face, like, don't ask me these questions, I know all this stuff. And that's really tough for me to watch, obviously, because, and maybe it's true for all of us when we're young, there's a level of arrogance there about, I know it all. Well, only as I get older do I realize that I know nothing at all whatsoever. So for me to watch myself going through all of that, it's not easy. I don't like having my picture taken. I don't like talking to journalists, but I love playing music. No offense. It's nothing personal. It's just I don't know how to do it. I really don't know how to do it. And so it can take up a lot of time if you're in that industry.
To ask you what it was about the band that made you want to go work with them.
I knew who Ronnie Hawkins was, but I didn't realize that was their root. I thought they just appeared out of, although I thought they were all actually from the Mississippi Delta. I didn't even know. Robbie was was Canadian, and so was Richard, and those. And I fell in love with Richard. We were big pals, and Levon, those guys that have passed, and Rick, they were magnificent heroes for me, and the songwriting and everything. And so I went up to jam with them, but principally I went up, the same sort of thing as happens in this movie where I go and play on the Aretha sessions. I show up with all this paraphernalia on, and the guys are all in, just work clothes. And I said, what good would start? And I said, well, are we going to jam? And they said, no, we don't jam. We don't jam. We kind of play us. We write songs and play the songs. We don't know how to do that. And I thought, oh my God, these guys are really serious. It was they were craftsmen, and they got it right, and it went on record when it was right, and everything they did. Robbie's still a dear friend of mine. I'll be seeing him soon, and that changed my life. Music from Big Pink, and I've ever since then. And of course, the Dylan Basement tapes was all them too. So just fantastic music, great music.
Which guitar players throughout your entire life have moved you to the core and still do?
Jimmy Vaughan, Gary Clark. I mean, these are guys that are colleagues still alive. Robert Cray is up there, but Robert Johnson to begin with, and Freddie King and B.B. King, Albert King, Steve Cropper, Robbie. It goes on and on. There are some great unknown players too. The guitar players that played on the Bobby Bland records. I can't remember his name now. There's a couple of great jazz musicians that I listen to. Kurt Rosenwinkel's a big friend of mine. He's a great musician. It goes on. I like it all, really. I like it all, but just some more than others.
And out of the list of songs that you've produced, is there one that you keep going back to and playing again and again as your favorite?
Yeah, it's the one that I wrote for my wife called Believe in Life. It was on an album called Reptile. And every time we go out on the road, I practice that, and I can't get it perfect enough to play it on stage. It's a shame, but that's my favorite track that I've written and recorded.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey